Welcome back, SmythOS Agents of Change. I'm Sebastian, and in this video, we are diving into the world of chatbot flows and data lookups. We've created our data sources, and now it's time to put them into work. Mike, can you show us how to implement a chatbot flow using data lookups?
All right. So we've done the data pool. We've done the exercise for that. How did things go with that exercise? Can I get a thumbs up or thumbs down on how people are feeling after trying to go through the exercise of getting to this place? Were you able to do this? Were you able to add a source indexer? 15 minutes is a pretty short period of time, so I understand if not. Great job. Good job, Simba. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move on. And we are going to add the to the same agent. It's the issue expert. I'm going to go ahead and add the part that allows the chatbot to actually work with this question, right? And so to do that, I'm going to drop that API endpoint. Give it that, and then we're going to need to add our actual components to ask these questions. And the key thing we are going to want from here is to actually do a data lookup, right? Data lookup is similar, but we're going to look at the same namespace. We're going to try and ID what kind of results I'm looking for. We're not going to enable post-processing. And then from the data lookup, we're going to go ahead and respond accordingly and then provide that response. Well, as you might guess, I already have this all done. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all this. I know that looks really scary, but if you're doing a good job of backing things up, you don't have to worry about that.
Fascinating. So we are connecting our chatbot directly to our knowledge base. Mike, how do we set up the initial query process?
Or issue, or maybe even better, our service request a vector database lookup, right? So we're looking these things up. What we're doing is we're taking on a question, we're doing the lookup over on the vector database side, and then we are going into look at and answer the question based on the response from our data source lookup, and then passing that back. Now, you can also do some interesting things where you could have multiple different databases. So let's say you wanted to look up, you have all of your service requests in one data store, right? In one data pool. And then you could also, for example, look up everything in your tutorials. All right. You could index all the tutorials. You could index your documentation. You could put all these things together and then use an LLM to actually take the responses and then judge which response it thinks it would be best to answer the actual questions.
That's a great foundation. Now, how do we actually perform the data lookup?
So in other words, kind of go back to the question and judge each response accordingly. So I just wanted to kind of drop that in here as an example as we progress. So when we try and actually answer questions for this one now, we're going to actually we only have one item in our data source, so we have to kind of keep things a little bit tight. right? So this is looking up that question and using the semantic lookup to try and see what it can understand about that. And it finds the title of the data source, and then it has the description, classification, skills required, and the source URL. Does this look familiar? Is that our data source? Yes, it is. And then it passes that back on to our LLM to actually take and use that accordingly, and then passes that back to the output. Let's go ahead and see what it provides in terms of output. Good criteria for an SEO writing test include vocabulary, usage, grammar, blah, 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 and then tells you where it actually got this answer from. So in other words, if you're like, I don't believe this doesn't make any sense, you can actually go back and take a look at the source. So let's go ahead and take that same question.
It's amazing how quickly it can find relevant information. Mike, now once we have the data, how do we process it for the response?
Let's stop here. Let's see. It's not a transcript, it's an issue. Okay, so we're going to go into our chatbot. Oh, what's our problem here? We don't have a good enough endpoint here to actually capture this. But if we did, it would actually capture and use the lookup to actually pull that data from there. And so that's just telling us, well, we need to go ahead and work on our endpoint here. And this information needs to be improved.
This is where the magic happens. We are combining data lookup with AI-powered response generation. Mike, can you summarize what we've learned about this process?
All right. Yes, absolutely. So this brings up a great point. The other thing is we have absolutely no agent description at this point. That helps a lot as well. So I think we got the key thing here that we have just done is to go ahead and not just create a data source, but actually query the data source or look up data from that data source, and then from that provide an answer and then provide that back to the output. Focus here again is providing a chatbot tool that service desk users can use to ask questions about how to resolve or understand the skills necessary or anything else for a specific kind of service request. So that's definitely one thing that they could do. So for example, in this particular case, what is the criteria for an SEO writing test? With that, we have covered the data pool. Now, let's say we felt that I'm not going to use this in actually building. Let's say we felt that some of our sources didn't or should not be used any longer. So, for example, we wanted to let's say we had a service desk, and in that service desk, we service a number of different products, right? And in those products or applications or services, right, for an IT service desk. So in our service desk, we would actually maybe add the application name to the metadata, and then we could use that as part of the source cleaner to remove those data sources by looking up and identifying those source identifiers based on that application that's in your metadata. Okay, any questions about that? You're rarely going to use a source cleaner as much as you are the source indexer.
Thank you, Mike. This has been an invaluable lesson in creating intelligent, data-driven chatbots. SmythOS enthusiasts, you've seen how to build chatbots that can tap into your custom knowledge bases, providing accurate and context-aware responses. We've covered setting up the query process, performing data lookups, and generating responses. Remember, the key is in connecting your chatbot directly to your carefully created data sources. In our next video, we'll explore more advanced topics in SmythOS agent development. Until then, keep experimenting with your chatbot flows. Stay curious and innovative. We'll see you in the next one.